Today, we're looking at the history of Chicago's Black Disciples gang and the murder of an 11-year-old member that shocked the nation. The Black Disciples is one of the largest and most notorious street gangs in Chicago. Originally called the Devil's Disciples, the group formed in 1958 after a group of teenagers from Hyde Park, Englewood, and Kenwood joined forces to protect themselves from rival gangs. In 1961, one of the founding members, David Barksdale, aka King David, took over leadership of the group and appointed other members to oversee various territories throughout the south side of Chicago. King David set out to recruit smaller gangs in the area and bring them under his leadership, renaming the group the Black Disciple Nation. In 1969, he formed an alliance with Larry Hoover, the founder of the rival gang, the Gangster Disciples, and created a unified organization called the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. However, soon after forming the alliance, Larry was sentenced to 150 to 200 years in prison for murder, and King David later died due to kidney complications. Without their leadership, the alliance soon crumbled, and the Black Disciples and Gangster Disciples split into two factions who are now engaged in a bloody feud that has lasted for decades. The rise of Chicago drill music has exposed the world to the gang wars in Chicago, as many famous rappers are members of the Black Disciples, including Chief Keef, King Von, Lil Durk, and Fredo Santana.
I can't get back to that. King David President.
Although California-based street gangs like the Bloods and Crips received national news coverage throughout the 80s and the 90s, the Black Disciples largely stayed out of the headlines. That was until the gruesome murder of an 11-year-old member named Robert Lil Yummy Sandifer led to a public outcry. At 11 years old, Lil Yummy already had an extensive rap sheet that included armed robbery, arson, and even murder. He had a rough upbringing in the south side of Chicago, a father who was incarcerated on gun charges, and an abusive mother with over 30 arrests for prostitution. As an infant, Lil Yummy was well known by DFS and went to live with his grandmother after they found bruises and cigarette burns on his arms and neck. But his grandmother's house wasn't much better, and at an early age, Lil Yummy was sucked into the gang lifestyle. He dropped out of school at the tender age of 8 and began stealing cars and robbing houses. At the age of 10, he was arrested for armed robbery, and soon after his release, he ran away from home and began living on the streets. Already a member of the Black Disciples, Lil Yummy was ordered by the gang to shoot at a group of rivals. So, on August 28, 1994, Lil Yummy opened fire on a group of youths with a 9mm and accidentally killed a 14-year-old girl named Siobhan Dean with a stray bullet. Lil Yummy then went on the run and was hiding from police with other members of the Black Disciples. But fearing that he might turn into an informant if he was captured, he was murdered by his own gang. Brothers Craig and Derek Hardaway told Lil Yummy that they were taking him to a safe location out of town, but instead they brought him to an underpass and told him to get on his knees, then shot him twice in the back of the head. The story of Lil Yummy shocked the world, and he was featured on the cover of Time magazine. It showed the ruthlessness and brutality of the Black Disciples and sparked a debate about America's gang problems and inner city violence. Even Tupac spoke about how the story affected him and called out the Black Disciples for turning against one of their own.
He didn't understand it. He didn't understand why a kid had to be, murdered. It didn't make sense to him. It ended up in his music. If you listen to Me Against the World, Yummy Sandifer's name is mentioned, throughout the project.
The story of Lil Yummy remains one of the most shocking murders in the history of the South Side. However, it has not stopped the growth of the Black Disciples, and the gang remains one of the largest and most powerful in Chicago.